What's up, guys? This is Kiliyan from Charming Liars, and this is my chapter of As the Story Grows.
Welcome to the next chapter of As the Story Grows. I'm Brian Patton. I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving. This week, I'm excited to introduce Kiliyan Maguire from Charming Liars to you guys. Charming Liars is a pop rock band from LA. Kiliyan chats about the impact hair metal had on him, translating the band's sound in a live setting, and breaking free from the album cycle to keep fans engaged. Kiliyan and I chatted at the end of October, right before the band dropped their single, Falling, which is streaming now. Check it out. Enjoy getting to know Kiliyan Maguire and Charming Liars.
Sing me a lullaby. I'll tell you why. I say, sing me a lullaby. I'll tell you why. I've been breaking up. I may be a loser, but I'm feeling kind of good. I may be a loser, but I don't feel like I should. Oh, I feel winner, winner. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down. Oh, I feel winner, winner. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me.
Yeah, thank you. I know it's early where you are.
Oh man, yeah, it is. This is the earliest I think I've gotten up in a little while, but
Oh, yeah.
It's worth it, man. It's worth it, you know.
That's cool. That's cool. Did you grow up out in California?
I did, yeah. Born and raised. Just celebrated my 28th year here in California, yeah, it's. Needless to say, anywhere else in the world I enjoy, but I'm just so spoiled with the sunshine all the time. So like whenever we go to like London, for instance, like, you know, it's a little cloudy there majority of the time. It's beautiful, but it like, you know, I'm just kind of like, where's the sunshine half the time?
Right. Right. It's currently rainy and cloudy and cold on the East Coast. So
No, that sounds nice, man. You know, I have so many jackets I never get to wear. You know, I just buy them and then I just sit in a closet because it's still like 80 degrees in December.
yeah, I get that. What was growing up like for you?
You know, it was cool. Like I said, you know, it's spent a lot of time in the sunshine, you know, played a lot of PlayStation 1, like most of us, I guess, you know, a lot of twisted metal. No, but yeah, I got into music when I was probably about 14. I always wanted to play music, but it wasn't until like the 14 or 15th year I got the guitar, which is like the ultimate gateway instrument. You know, you start there and then you start songwriting or you play drums on the back of it or whatever you do. But yeah, it was an interesting upbringing here. Always sunny and fun, you know.
That's cool. Was there an album or a band or a scene that struck a note with you that really got you into music that made you want to play guitar? You
know, and this is actually an interesting time because he just passed away. But when my first concert was Van Halen, 2007, when they got back together with David Lee Roth, and growing up, there was always a plethora of different music in my household because I grew up kind of with my grandparents, but also with my parents too. And my grandparents listened to like a lot of Frank Sinatra and a lot of like mariachi music and stuff like that. So I kind of got an interesting vibe from that. But then my parents listened to kind of like, you know, Iron Maiden and different bands from, you know, the 80s that were either metal or rock. But Van Halen was one of those bands that really just struck a chord with me, no pun intended.
Yeah.
And I remember when I used to watch Metal Mania, but it was like the repeats from the 1980s and 90s. So like, you know, Van Halen's Panama or like, you know, Hot for Teacher and things like that would come on. And I remember thinking, I'm either going to be David Lee Roth or Eddie Van Halen. I set my bar very high, and needless to say, I joined a band, and with the hopes of replacing their guitar player. I joined as a singer, but their guitar players were way better than me. So I decided, you know what, I'm just going to sing. So that's kind of where it's kind of all started for me, being in a band.
That's cool. Did you have any performance history, like in school or choirs, before picking up guitar?
No. I mean, I guess you can count clarinet in the 5th and 6th grade, but that was really it. Up until that point, I had like a, I used to try and write songs kind of like in little melodies. I remember as a young kid, I would hum these little melodies, but you had no way to record them, so they kind of just were lost in the ether. But up until that point, no, that was kind of the first time.
That's cool. What kind of bands were you drawn to when you started coming up through high school and singing in bands?
For me, I mean, like I said, I was watching like a lot of, shameless metal mania. So, there was, the Dawkins and the, a lot of the 80s hair metal. I shamelessly, I love it. And I know it kind of, it's kind of strikes a cringy note for a lot of people when you go, oh yeah, dude, Rat, they're sick. But as I got, but it's always kind of been rock based when I first started. There was, of course, like I said, Maiden and Van Halen. And one of the bands that really changed the game for me, though, was Third Eye Blind. And it was their debut record. Hearing that, the songwriting, the lyricism, everything, and it's so unhair metal too, which is maybe why I loved it so much too. It was a nice palette change. But I think that was one of those records that really just changed the game for me. And it just opened up this idea that to be in a band, you don't have to follow, a structure or anything like that, because their songs are definitely not structured in a conventional way. So those were kind of some of the bands, and I hope people don't think I'm super lame now that I've literally just named half of 1988's gold record. But yeah, that's kind of where it started for me.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's interesting that Third Eye Blind was like a changing gateway, especially listening to Charming Liars and hearing how much like hair metal was an influence. I that connection almost doesn't make sense at all.
I know,
right?
man. I know we don't sound anything like it. Yeah.
Well, how did you get connected with the other guys in Charming Liars?
So the way it started was really just through a mutual friend. I up into that point had been in kind of more hard rock bands in LA, and I was kind of not on my way out of it, but I was kind of looking to do something new. Because like I said, up until that point, it really just been mainly just kind of hard rock, meat and potatoes kind of stuff. And then through a mutual friend, I linked up with the guys, and me and Carnig, who is our guitar player and produces all of our music, we got in the studio one day, and for me the main thing was like, can we write together? Because obviously we can look cool in photographs all we want, but is the music going to translate? So we got in there and we wrote a song, which is a song called Out of My Head, which was one of the first things we ever put together, and we still play it live. I love it. And sorry if I'm talking a bunch. I just had some coffee, and let me tell you, man, it is just hit. It was, from that moment on, we were like, we can write together, and we just never looked back.
That's awesome. Do you know what brought them from London over to LA?
I think for them, they expressed it to me as, they were in London, which is, it's a great town, but as far as musical opportunities go, LA just kind of had, just different opportunities. And I think that they had met a lot of incredible people in England and in London, but maybe I think the main thing was that they kind of were looking for new horizons and to meet new people and to kind of just expand, their network. And here they are. I think they've been here for like 9 years or something like that. Yeah.
As you guys, you're, I don't want to say you're a studio heavy band, but your sound is so much influenced by electronics and programming and elements of that nature. For a project like Charming Liars, is the ease of like digital music and what am I trying to say? Like how does that translate from live to studio for you guys? Start there.
Yeah, it's always interesting, because no, you're not wrong. I mean, we definitely incorporate a lot of studio sounds into our songs, and how do we, we always have this discussion. How do we translate this live? It's like these weird little, bells and whistles, and how do we incorporate that into a 4-piece rock band on stage? And it's an interesting transition. Some things just don't make the leap over, and they just sound better if we strip them back and just kind of, create more of a, like I said, a 4-piece band sound over, the song structure. And then other songs, we're like, what, I kind of miss that little, a triangle we have or whatever, or those different instrumentations. So that it's kind of it's an interesting thing. We're always just experimenting and seeing what sounds best.
Yeah. Is there a goal when you guys are in studio or writing, like sound wise, like something that's influencing you?
I wish, man, those sounds just kind of come out of nowhere sometimes. Carnegie will sit there and he goes, "Oh wait," and he'll tap his finger and record that and throw some filter over it. And it's like, "Oh, that sounds great. Let's go with that." But I think mainly what it is for us is we'll a sound will come and then it'll kind of spark a band. We'll go, it's very Nine Inch Nails of you. I like that. Let's go that way. Or, so different things like that can kind of influence us, but it's kind of just, honestly, it's just, sometimes it's very random.
Yeah. Has it been hard to find a place, especially live, as you guys kind of fit in somewhere between, an alternative rock sound and a very pop heavy sound? Or has touring been easy? Like there is a place and people are interested in this sort of sound, this hybrid?
Sure. Yeah. It's been weird. The first couple years when we were kind of trying to cement our sound and try to figure it out, tons of rejections, because we as it happens. But I'd say over the last maybe 2 or 3 years, we've definitely kind of zeroed in on our bass and just kind of been able to discover where we fit. And yeah, it was strange because like you said, it's rock and then it's also kind of like popish too, but it can be done.
You guys just released, I guess this month's almost over, a new EP, Losers. What was the process of writing this record like compared to previous releases?
Well, I'll tell you, it was really cool for this cycle, because we, the last cycle, what we did is we kind of went the more traditional record route where, we spent a year and a half, 2 years in the studio, recorded 12 songs, released it all at once. That was super fun. But it left us feeling a little empty at the end because, we had the limelight for maybe 2 months. And then, people were like, all right, where's the next batch of music? Yeah. And so for this one, what we decided to do is kind of just release a new track each month, which led all the way up to Losers. So, the writing process didn't really change too much, but it was stimulating because we were able to write something, release it, and kind of get it out there and kind of, get a little feedback and get a feeling for how people were receiving the track instead of just hoping that they liked it in 2 years. So it was a little different in that respect, but I'll tell you the main thing too was on the first record, I spent so much time just staring at a pen and paper, just making sure, this has got to be perfect. This next batch, I relaxed on it. Just let it flow a bit more.
Yeah. It's interesting. Like, do you feel the fans because there's this constant demand of what's new, what have you done for me lately, that they're more receptive to getting one song intermittently as opposed to a whole batch of like 10 or 12 all at once?
I think, yeah, I mean, it all goes back to just kind of the way we digest everything now. You know, you release on Instagram, you post a picture, you get likes, you know, it's all, you know, so if you release a song every month, it's important because I feel like as a band, especially if we're a band our size, to stay on somebody's radar, you kind of almost have to be reaffirming it constantly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have anything to do with like, you know, in my opinion, you can release the greatest music ever, but if it's not consistent, I feel like people just tend to not forget, but they just kind of, you know, the sky is blue, but they're not thinking about it all the time. You know, it's kind of just constantly reminding people, hey, don't forget, you love us. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just different. I mean, you know, before you used to be able to release a record every 4 years and people go crazy. You can still do that. I mean, look at, you know, Arctic Monkeys, they do that. But we're playing to a singles market. It's strange.
Yeah. Do you think that's been extra helpful in, you know, 2020 with COVID, because you can't tour, you can't be on the road? It's like you have something new all the time that you're giving people.
Yeah, you know, we really lucked out too, because even, you know, before COVID really took struck heavy, we were already releasing one song a month. Because you know, I feel bad because I know bands that had spent, you know, like 2 years making this record, and they released it right before COVID hit. And they're just like, now they're like in the studio writing, but they don't really have anything to release, you know, on, you know, per month. So it's a weird thing, but it's really been beneficial for us, you know, because people are, unfortunately, they're stuck inside and they're looking for, you know, ways to occupy their time. And of course, music is a great way to kind of, you know, lift the spirits too. So we've been very fortunate in that respect.
Yeah. Is there any sort of overarching theme to this collection of songs that you've put out this year?
You know, every time we make a record, it's really just who we are in that specific moment. Theme wise, it's just not really. It's just kind of, each song has its own kind of message and its own theme. But I mean, maybe one day we'll do a concept record. It's so hard to want to like pigeonhole that one theme and try and translate that way. But for us, it's kind of just, we're all over the place.
Oh, I say winner, you can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down. Oh, I say winner, you can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down, down, down. You can't bring me down. Sing a song for losers, losers. Cool. Sing a song for losers, losers. Cool.
You guys released a video for the song Losers with your fans. How did that video and concept come together?
Well, we had kind of, for all of our songs, we had these very grand ideas for music videos. But obviously COVID hit, and it was, you know, all production ceased, and we were like, okay, well, what are we going to do now? We'd like to have a video, but we kind of came up with this idea that, you know what, why don't we incorporate our fans into this song? And honestly, the video came out, you know, kind of better than any of our expectations of the previous idea, or even just the concept of this, you know, music video. And it was, you know, basically just taking the idea of, you know, people who have lost something or someone, and having them share their experience, and you know, going through this very, you know, the turbulence of today. It was actually a perfect time for people to express themselves, and also for people to see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, because some of the, you know, some of our fans sharing things, it was very heavy, and it was very emotional for even, you know, us watching it. So in a way, you know, COVID led to production ceasing, and actually led to, in my opinion, a better music video than what we had planned. So very happy with the way that it turned out.
That's cool. I guess tomorrow your brand new single "Falling" hits Spotify and other streaming services.
Yeah, that's news to me. No, yeah, it's yeah, we're pretty excited about that. We we've gotten to the point now where we're doing a few new covers and just kind of experimenting around with different sounds and things like that. So that'll be really fun. I had a good time recording it. We did that, and we did the Circles, the Post Malone Circles cover, kind of in the same session. So
that's cool. 2020 has been weird for everybody. I feel like I always ask people what it's like and what the future is. Right. It's just a clusterfuck of unknown and lockdowns, and out in California, it's even worse than a lot of parts of the worse or bad, depending on how you view this. But
yeah, no, it's, I mean, we're on fire. It sucks. Yeah.
Yeah. So what's your hope? I mean, you guys have been releasing singles monthly. I'm sure your hope has been to tour at some point, but that's permanently on hold. What's the future look like? Just to continue to drop singles and build a fan base that way?
Yeah, we're gonna do we've been writing a lot and recording a lot, but the other thing too is we're just looking to kind of figure out a way to not replace, but just kind of, like, it's so difficult because we're a live band. Last year we spent like 7 months on the road, and it was awesome. And this year we had, like you said, we had we had a ton of tours lined up. So it was going to be a tour every year. So we're just trying to fill the void, but we're finding ways and kind of spitballing some ideas of kind of just doing some unique live streams, things like that. The first couple months of lockdown, we did all the acoustic live streams, and every time we went on Facebook, it was like a live stream from a different band. It was super cool. But I think as bands, we're kind of getting to the point now where we're trying to reinvent how to do that in a more unique way. So that's kind of what's on our plate. It's just figuring out, and we have a few ideas for filming and things like that. So it's all up in the air, really.
I'm in my bed and you're not here, and there's no one to blame but the drink in my wandering hands. Forget what I said, it's not what I meant, and I can't take it back. I can't unpack the baggage you left. What am I now? What am I now? What if I'm someone I don't want around? I'm falling again.
Really excited. Be on the lookout. We've got a new single coming out every month. Falling's coming out tomorrow. And had a wonderful time speaking with you, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you. Thanks for listening to As the Story Grows. Our theme song was written and composed by the legendary Bob Nana. If you like what you hear, subscribe on iTunes and give the show a rating and review. If you'd like to support the show financially, click on the Patreon link at asthestorygrows.com. If you enjoyed this episode, share it on social media with your friends. Much appreciated, and thanks for listening.